Welcome to Corvette Today, the podcast that talks about everything Corvette, with your host Steve Garrett, MC and DJ at one of the largest Corvette weekends in the country, Corvette Fun Fest, president of the Corvette Club of Kansas City, Missouri, and radio disc jockey at the #1 radio station in Kansas City for over 40 years. Here's Steve Garrett.
Thanks for listening to Corvette Today, the podcast that talks about everything Corvette. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. I appreciate you tuning in. You can listen to Corvette Today on all podcast platforms. You can also listen on your smart device. Just say Alexa or Hey Google, play the podcast called Corvette Today, and you're connected. Also, visit the Corvette Today website. It's CorvetteTodayPodcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you visit the Corvette Today merchandise store. You can also sign up for Corvette Today emails, notifications, and updates at corvettetoday.ck.page. And don't forget, join the Corvette Today Facebook group. We have over 3,000 members, and I'd love to have you as a member as well. I'm also excited to tell you about the new YouTube channel for Corvette Today. See your favorite Corvette Today podcasts now on YouTube. First, I'd like to thank our flagship sponsors of Corvette Today, AEROLARRI Wheels, a true forged wheel with over 20 unique design styles to choose from for your C8 and wide-body versions of the C7, C6, and C5 Corvette. It's an absurd value starting at only $19.88 for a set of 4 fully forged wheels. And use the promo code CT100 for Corvette Today 100 and get $100 off your purchase. Visit AEROLARRI.com. That's AEROLARRI.com and use the promo code CT100 for your $100 discount. Also, Corvette Fever magazine. Corvette Fever has been relaunched with an online and printed version. The online version has incredible interactivity with hidden photos and information, and the printed version is nothing like you've ever seen before, huge and glossy. Get your free online version at CorvetteFeverMag.com. You can also sign up for the printed version there as well. Corvette Fever magazine, come along for the ride. Also, MidEngineCorvetteForum.com, the forum that focuses on the new mid-engine C8 Corvette. Meet a lot of fellow Corvette enthusiasts like yourself at MidEngineCorvetteForum.com. Also, a shout out to CanadianCorvetteForum.com, welcoming Corvette owners from around the world. Corvette Product Manager Harlan Charles is back with me on the Corvette Today podcast to discuss the new Corvette C8 Z06. First, Harlan, thanks for being back on the show. And second, let's go over the finer details of the new C8 Z06. Plus, let's give listeners and viewers of the YouTube channel for Corvette Today some of the insides about this car, along with some of the Easter eggs to look for. Thanks again for being back. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. And thanks for having me again. It's always fun to talk about a new Corvette model, historic occasion in the last weeks, and there's just a lot of hunger for information right now.
Yes, there is. First of all, let's talk about the new engine, the LT6. This is the highest horsepower, naturally aspirated engine ever built by any brand ever. You guys had to be really excited when you got these numbers in, didn't you?
Well, this really goes way back with the initial planning of this generation C8 mid-engine Corvette architecture. When we were talking about doing the Z06 model, early on we thought a lot of people were fans of the 6th gen car, the LS7, the 7-liter 7,000 Redline engine. And a lot of people really like the 7th gen with the supercharger because you got 650 horsepower, which was the highest Z06 at that time and the highest until the ZR1 came out for 2019. Early on, we thought, well, is there a way we could have the high revving or even go higher, naturally aspirated kind of purist engine, go back to that would have a stronger tie-in with what we race on the track. Not just a stronger tie-in, be exactly tied in with what we race on the track. I don't think a lot of us wanted to go down in horsepower, but we knew there might be a chance it might not be quite as much as the 650 you get with a supercharger. So we put this idea together, 5.5-liter engine. It was going to be dual overhead cam. Then we decided, in order to get this high revving engine, we decided to go flat plane crank, like the most exotic engines out there. And that enabled the RPM to go higher, the redline to be higher, to rev quickly, and also created a signature sound, really an exceptional, unmistakable sound. So getting back to your original question, We had lofty goals. We wanted to be where the LT4, the 7th gen Z06 was, around the 650. And then when we actually thought there's a chance we could overachieve, we actually got the final SAE test procedures. We got the final number actually just when we were starting to do some of our interviews prior to the reveal at the Design Center Dome. We had a conversation and we got those results, and it was just like we all felt like we just made it to the playoffs or won the Super Bowl or whatever. It was just very exciting. We already thought we were going to be the highest, like you said, the highest naturally aspirated horsepower in a V8 ever, and we did it by quite some margin, getting the 670 number. And we thought, here's something we can make both schools happy. The people who appreciated the LS7 engine that we, naturally aspirated, high revving, people who wanted the horsepower that we had with the supercharged engine. And then there's also a new audience that would appreciate the technology, flat plane crank, dual overhead cam, all the latest technology in this engine, precise tolerances that really give you that racing experience behind the wheel when you're driving the car. You got the connection to the race car, actually even more horsepower and red line than the race car due to racing rules and regulations that they have. So we're actually able to go even further with the street car.
Wow. And also, let's talk about the exhaust. It took 2 years to develop this exhaust and that exhaust note. And also talk about the tips moving back to the center as well.
Absolutely. Our powertrain team, our small block V8 team is really awesome. And they'll talk about it's not just one thing that got us there. It was a lot of little things, a lot of attention to detail, attention to the build tolerances, the machining techniques, things like the titanium connecting rods and forged pistons and things like that. All these details that add up, little parts add up to big parts.
Also, Harlan, let's talk about the exhaust, because I know that was extensive. It took 2 years to develop the exhaust and the exhaust note. A lot of tuning went into that, and you also moved the exhaust tips back to center. Plus, the exhaust tips are not connected to the exhaust itself. Tell us why that is and what the technology was behind it.
Yeah, so our original plan was we were going to do an exhaust pretty similar to what we have on the Stingray with the outboard outlets. We had it going and we liked it, but we thought, we were running tight on time, but there were some of the engineers that had put together some different ideas. This one was called Medusa because it had all these crazy pipes and everything, like Medusa's hair. But we thought, well, maybe we have an optional exhaust or something. But when we got this thing together and everybody heard it, upper management heard it, everybody said, this is what we really need for the car. This should be on the car. And ironically, we did end up getting a little bit of extra time to work on it with everything that happened. What they were able to do, one of the key things to it, like you had mentioned, is the tips are not directly connected. So what happens, they're parabolic reflection. So it's basically like having a reverse megaphone behind the car that directs the sound back to you, to the driver. Because the car always sounded good from the outside. I mean, we always loved it. But the thought we were missing out on was the driving experience. So what this does, it gives you that real sound back to the driver, to the passenger, so you can hear this masterpiece engine we were just talking about. And that was tuned. They did a little trial and error there. We had to tune that. What was the right different distance between the reflectors and the exhaust tips? They tried a bunch of different iterations before ending up with the one we had. It's basically tuned like you tune a musical instrument. Some people think, that's for engine sound, but it's a big part of enjoyment when you're driving a sports car, especially with an engine like this, is to be able to experience it. When the little hairs stand up in the back of your neck when you go to a red line, you appreciate the engineering that went into this.
And a new design option for the exhaust is you get 2 different color tips. You can get the black tips or the chrome tips, right?
Yeah, so that's a new option for the Z06 we're going to have in 23. You're right. You can get the standard bright or you can get dark. You can choose. You could coordinate that with your wheels or with the badging on the car, whatever your personal preference is. And we actually had both on display with our show cars. Just yet another way to personalize your Corvette.
And I think one of the other cool design features about this car, with all the new added technology, you don't lose any storage space in the front or in the trunk. And that's really a big deal.
Yeah, that was really important because although the Z06 is very track focused and enthusiast focused, we still want it to have the ability to be your Corvette to take on trips across countries or use it as your daily driver car. If you look closely, you talk about the trunk with the new exhaust system. In the front, there's an extra radiator in the center for extra cooling. It was very tempting. The cooling engineers and everybody let's just get rid of that storage up there. We can get a more efficient cooling Now, if you look at it, we had that rolling chassis on display, or you can look that up online. You can see how we had all the piping and hose that goes all around that front storage area to maintain that. So just like you're saying, it's exactly the same as the Stingray. I think people have been pleasantly surprised with how much storage you get with a mid-engine sports car like this, with the two trunks, and especially with that convertible where you can take the top down, you have all that space. So the Z06, just like the Stingray, could be a great road trip or vacation car, or even a car if you got to do some errands on the way home from work. You can get that done as well.
Harlan, let's talk about the wheels and tires on the new Z06, because we got 20s and 21s instead of the 19s and 20s. The 13-inch wide wheels and the tires are 345s. At 345 millimeters, we're getting into Lamborghini-sized tires, which is really, really cool. Also talk about the new carbon fiber wheels available, because these are made by the company in Australia that makes the same wheel for the Mustang, but ours are made to a higher spec.
Oh, yeah. We really wanted to push this car in terms of the rubber and the traction. That's what really helps the straight line and the track performance of the car. Going to the larger diameter wheels is instantly recognizable from the side view as well. These are the largest wheels and tires we've ever had on Corvette. You can see the performance when you look at the car, but then you also experience it when you're driving. And it's one size. It'll be standard on both the aluminum and the carbon fiber available wheels are also those sizes. The largest, I think they were the widest carbon fiber wheels ever made by our supplier of carbon wheels. And these wheels, I do want to make sure everybody understands, these wheels are specific to Corvette. They were designed specifically for this Z06 model. It's an all-new wheel. The cars we've shown have the visible carbon weave that you can see it, or you can also get them painted carbon flash as well.
And as I mentioned earlier, these carbon fiber wheels are made to a higher, more specific spec than the ones for the Mustang, which makes it even stronger and better, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a very robust wheel. It's designed to meet all our specifications. It's very strong. Carbon fiber is a very strong material, and lightweight is why we use it. And it actually reduces the unsprung mass 41 pounds versus the aluminum wheels, which are already fairly lightweight. It's something that you really can feel in the car when you drive it right away because it is unsprung mass. It actually has measurable effect on track times at the Milford Proving Grounds. Our engineers have found they can actually swap wheels and get a better lap time using these lighter weight wheels.
Do you remember how much time you gained with those carbon fiber wheels on the track?
I think on our Milford Road course, it was around a second a lap in that range. Again, it would depend on tracks, obviously, but it will definitely have a benefit. So if you want the quickest setup you can get, that would be the way to go.
And let's make sure everybody knows that in order to get the carbon fiber wheels, you must have the Z07 package purchased, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So it's kind of like a prerequisite you had in college. So to get a carbon fiber wheel, you have to have a Z07 performance package to go with it. And that gives you the ceramic brakes, the top aero spec, as well as stiffer springs, its unique chassis configurations, and the Cup 2 tires, which are really important.
Harlan, real quick, talk about the differences between the Z06 and the Z07 performance packages, what you get as opposed from one to the other.
Yeah, so we have the top spec carbon package, right? We have guide planes or the canards column in the front. There's a large rear wing that's carbon. There's actually strakes underneath the car, which is real race car Q, something we haven't done in production before. Of course, the larger splitter and rockers in carbon. So it actually can provide 734 pounds of downforce at 186 miles an hour, which is actually the highest number of downforce that we've had on Corvette, even more than the Z01.
And something very cool about this new LT6 engine that's never been done before on Corvette. Redline is 8,600. That's fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. We wanted a real high RPM engine. That was part of the reason for the flat plane crank, as well as the titanium rods and forged pistons. That helps enable the high horsepower number that we were able to achieve. It just created a lot of the excitement when you're driving the car. It's going to be a different experience for those of us who are used to the more traditional small block, which have redline closer to 6,600. This engine, you're going to love to want to let it breathe a little more, let it rev up there a little bit higher. Usually when you would have shifted before, you're going to wait and really let the engine get into its sweet spot in the higher RPMs. It'll be quite the experience.
Well, this car, this engine, and this exhaust are going to be so much fun. It'll be a blast. Harlan, let's take our first break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about the brand new Corvette C8 Z06 on Corvette Today.
Stretch the life of your Corvette's paint with NOVISTRETCH Performance Protective Covers. NOVISTRETCH covers provide superior protection for your C5 through C8 Corvette, utilizing stretch fabric technology and an innovative fastening system for quick installation and easy removal and storage. Made in the USA for a tailored fit, the patented design and breathable mesh protects your Corvette without rubbing or chafing the paint like traditional bras. And unlike clear film solutions, NOVISTRETCH provides full front-end coverage including the grille, keeping radiators and heat exchangers clean without creating airflow issues. Visit novistretch.com and use the code CORVETTETODAY15 to get 15% off your order. Protect your Corvette with NOVISTRETCH.
American Hydrocarbon, your one-stop shop for custom interior, exterior, and engine bay items for your C4 through C8 Corvette. We can help you create a custom look for your Corvette with carbon fiber or 10 different color patterns and styles. We've served customers in over 28 countries all around the world. Whether it's a custom-made engine cover for your new C8 mid-engine Corvette or custom-made C4 interior upgrades, American Hydrocarbon can help you transform your Corvette into a best-in-class show car. Our products have been featured in Vette and Corvette magazines, so give us a call. 813-476-5638. That's 813-476-5638. And now we're proud to announce that we can produce and distribute officially licensed GM products with the C8 Corvette. That includes the front splitter, the side skirts, engine appearance panels, and engine fluid caps. See everything on our new updated website, AmericanHydrocarbon.com.
And now, back to Corvette Today with your host and my husband, Steve Garrett.
Hey, thanks for listening to Corvette Today, the podcast that talks about everything Corvette. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. With me today is Harlan Charles, the Corvette Brand Marketing Manager for Corvette. We're talking about the brand new Corvette C8 Z06. Harlan, we touched on this in the first segment, but I want to talk about the titanium rods and pistons in this new LT6 engine. It's cool because these engines are hand-built, and we're bringing back the program where someone can build their own engine with this new C8 Z06.
Yeah, so those are all good points. So you're right, this new LT6 engine will be built at the Bowling Green factory in our Performance Build Center at the right time. Might not be right when we start production, but a little down the road. Our goal is to bring back the Build Your Engine program, but each engine is built by one builder and will sign the engine. Or if it's you can sign your own engine if you become the builder. Some of the technology in here that you mentioned is like forged titanium connecting rods. We did have titanium connecting rods back for the LS7 engine, 6th Gen Z06. These are actually even lighter than those. And then we have forged aluminum pistons, and these are also lighter than the previous LT4 and LS7, previous Z06 engines as well. So again, the best technology is in this engine, all the premium materials. And one of the neat things about it, if you ever do get to build it, or you ever get to see one get built, is each part really looks like a work of art. I mean, when you look at it, if you didn't know what was going in an engine, every part is really so cool. And the materials and everything used is so precise. And manufacturing tolerances are so precise as well.
That's very cool. Also, the gear ratios are the same as the Stingray, but the final drive ratio is higher. Talk about that and what that does for the new Z06 and the engine.
You're right. So the 8-speed gear ratios and the dual clutch are the same, Stingray and Z06, but there's actually 3 different ratios. We had the standard Stingray is 4.89, the Z51 raises it to 5.17, and the Z06 is up to 5.56. So with this engine being able to rev so quickly and accelerate so quick, you can take advantage of that higher ratio. It's capable of 2.6 seconds, 0 to 60 acceleration. And for a rear-wheel drive car, you're not going to find many that can beat that. You may find a few very expensive price points, but not too many.
That's fantastic. And you're right. For this car to be a world-class car, to compete with Porsche, Lamborghini, Ferrari, McLaren, you can't get that performance unless you're paying $250,000, $350,000. And you won't have to do that with Corvette. But you're getting a beautiful car, you're getting the same world-class interior and exterior, and the performance is also world-class, able to compete with all those different brands.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing that we're always proud about with Corvette, that we have customers that can afford any of these other cars. Some of them can, some of them can't. But we don't want any excuses. We'll put our car up against anybody all around the world, regardless of price, and we feel we can win. We're right there.
Absolutely right. And also, I thought this was really cool. With the Stingray, you have to add a couple quarts of oil to get on the track. But with this new Z06, you don't have to do that, do you?
No, and actually, even on the Stingray, you don't have to add oil. It's trans fluid.
Oh, it's transmission fluid. Okay.
Yeah, so you have to add the trans fluid on the Stingray with Z51, which that's recommended for extra 2 quarts for track use. For the Z06, with its new circulation, we do not recommend that. There's no need to do that for Z06. There are different oils, though, because you mentioned the engine oil, I do want to point out. So the Stingray with the LT2 small block uses 0W40. The new Z06 LT6 will use 5W50. So a little bit higher weight oil will be required for the Z06. But there aren't necessarily any different maintenance requirements above and beyond what you have with the Stingray. So normal oil change intervals and things like that. So the car, like all Corvettes, is pretty easy from a maintenance standpoint.
Also, Harlan, let's talk about the 2 carbon fiber trim packages, because obviously that's near and dear to my heart. There are 2 levels, and I'll tell you what, seeing that level 2, I was just in heaven. Why don't you talk about the level 1 and level 2 carbon fiber trim packages?
Yes, these are the interior trim packages. So the first level is what people may have, if you've seen the Stingray carbon fiber package, it's basically the same package that we've had. So it has carbon fiber around the window switch area, driver mode control area, and around the cluster. This level 2 package really takes it to another level. So basically, pretty much the entire console is carbon fiber, and that goes into the instrument panel. And then it wraps around the instrument panel to the doors. That whole large piece is also all carbon fiber. If you love the look of the carbon fiber in the interior, I mean, that's really the ultimate package to have. But if you want the carbon to be dominant, we have the aluminum trim in the Corvettes. That's a bright aluminum, which a lot of people like. If you're getting the carbon, one of the suggestions would be maybe you want the carbon to be more dominant. We have a stealth aluminum package, which darkens that aluminum, makes it almost give it like a black chrome look. So that's like your speaker grills, your air vents, just about everything in the car that has that bright aluminum trim can be more subdued. If you just like that look better, or you like it to go with all the carbon fiber better, that's another interior personalization choice that we have.
And I know also with the level 2 package, the steering wheel has more carbon fiber and the paddle shifters are in carbon fiber.
Well, the steering wheel with the carbon rim that you're mentioning and the paddles, which are carbon, that actually comes with the Z06 with the 3LZ trim level.
Okay.
It's great you brought that up because I had that question the other day. Is that's basically included with a 3LZ Z06. So we have 1, 2, and 3LZ. Those are our 3 trim levels. So you're getting the top level, that's the leather-wrapped interior. And that will automatically come with that carbon wheel, rim, and paddles will be included. So that's no extra cost above the 3LZ level.
Very nice. And for everybody that wants to know the difference between Z06 and Z07, let's talk about that for a minute, because Z06 has the smaller wing in the back, but it does come with extra wicker bills if you're going to track the car. But then the Z07 package has the larger carbon fiber wing. It also has stiffer suspension, and it has carbon ceramic brakes, plus the canards in the front. Did I get all that correct?
Yeah, and actually, the carbon aero package is available with or without the Z07 performance package. So that's another option you can get. So I would call it the aero package that comes with the Z06. It does have what you were talking about. It has a rear spoiler, and it does come from the factory. You can install extra wickers. So the car is pretty neutral for street use. But if you put these wickers on there, if you do want to do a track day and you have the standard aero, you put those on there, it gives you 362 pounds of downforce, which is pretty good. And then the aero package, like you mentioned, which adds the rear wing and the front splitter and the dive planes and the strakes and all that other stuff, that goes up to 734 pounds.
Nice.
There's really 3 configurations that the Z06 could be in. Now, Z07 requires the top aero package, so that'll come with the Z07 as well. So that's the top of the Z06 line. So we want the top aero package. But if you do want, say, this aero package, and you don't want to go all the way to Z07, maybe you don't want the cup tires or for whatever reason, we are making that available. But it was designed with Z07 in mind, but we will make that available in case people do want to buy that separate. Because if we didn't do it, somebody would want it.
Absolutely right.
I've learned that from all the Corvette enthusiasts out there. Whatever combination we don't offer, somebody figures it out and they want it.
Definitely. Well, Harlan, let's take our final break. And in segment number 3, we'll talk more about the new Corvette C8 Z06 on Corvette Today.
VetteFinders.com is the Internet's original Corvette classified ads website, with classified ads starting at just $25. And every ad runs until your Corvette is sold. If you're in the market for a Corvette, VetteFinders.com has over 500 Corvettes for sale from all around the USA and Canada and covering all 8 generations. Visit VetteFinders.com, the Internet's destination for buying and selling Corvettes. That's VETTE Finders.com.
Hey, honey, are you awake?
I am now.
I can't sleep. Since turning 50, I keep dreaming of a red door and a blue door, somehow knowing there are only choices for retirement.
Okay.
Through the red door, we outlive our money. We have to rely on our kids. We're stuck on a fixed income. It's terrifying.
Yeah, that would suck.
But through the blue door, our money outlives us. We retire on our terms. Our kids stay our kids, not our caretakers. We make work optional.
Yes, that's much better. That's what I want too. But what do we do?
We call True Wealth & Company at 913-653-8783. They specialize in helping successful people make work optional. They're our fiduciary Blue Door personal wealth managers.
Hey, where are you going? It's 3 a.m.
I can't sleep. I'm going to check out True Wealth & Company online at retirewithtrue.com. That Blue Door is going to be our retirement.
913-653-8783. Visit us online at retirewithtrue.com. Investment advice offered through True Wealth & Company, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Kansas.
You're listening to the Corvette Today podcast with Steve Garrett.
Thank you very much for listening to Corvette Today, the podcast that talks about everything Corvette. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. With me today is Harlan Charles. We are talking about the brand new C8 Z06. In this third and final segment, we're going to talk about some of the fun things that you might not know about on this new Z06. First of all, Harlan, let's talk about all the different interior options. Plus, I love this. Talk about that fully dipped red leather interior option as well.
We're showing for the first time, this will be new for 23. It was in our silver coupe Z06 show car. It's an adrenaline red dipped interior. Now, adrenaline red has been on Corvette for a while. It's a great color, very popular. But we've heard from some people they want even more red. We call these interiors dipped interiors. Imagine in your head like when you're dipping the ice cream in the chocolate syrup when the whole thing gets dipped. And that's what we really mean, when the whole interior is dipped in color. So we've had like the natural dip before where it's all natural tan color. So this same thing with the bright red. So again, if you want something that's really stands out, that's really unique, something probably only Corvette would do, it's really a unique interior. Again, the carpeting, the headliners, everything like that is all red. Additionally, for Z06, we have new stitching patterns that are in the door panels and the headliners.
Nice.
Yeah, they're unique to Z06. And all the Z06s have a steering wheel badge on the bottom spoke, and they'll have unique plaques in the interior as well. So there are a few little special things there for the Z06 interior, but we knew that adrenaline red would get a lot of attention.
Also, how many different interior options are there? And let's also talk about the interior options for the seatbelt.
It depends how you count it. I think you could say we have 7 different combinations. Because you can get black with yellow stitching, you can get black with red stitching. You can get the adrenaline red, regular, what we call, with, black and red, or you can get the dipped. We get natural tan or natural tan dipped, and we have sky cool gray as well. And we have the blue, the two-tone tension and twilight blue interior, which is really unique. There's a lot of interiors. And then to your point, seatbelt colors, we have black, we have tan, we have blue, orange, yellow, red. You can either match or contrast to make your own statement. So again, more ways that you can personalize your car. Last year, about a third of everybody was getting an optional seatbelt color, which is kind of neat. It's a nice way to personalize your car. And the nice thing about the belts, they go on all the different trim levels. So it's a nice way, even if you're getting like the 1LT or 1LZ, you're getting into one of the lesser expensive versions. It's a neat way to personalize the interior for not a lot of money. You can get one of those colored seat belts and just dress it up.
They look great, and it does add the nice personalized touch. Also, will the Z06 still have the front end lift like the Stingray?
Yes, of course. You can get the front lift option. That's a great feature. And it's probably important for Z06 if you're getting that carbon fiber ground effects package with that large front splitter. You might want some more clearance depending on your driveway or where you frequent. And the nice thing is you can set that after you use it to the GPS location. So once you're set at the one time, every time you come back to that location, the front will lift automatically. Well, that's a great feature.
That's fantastic. You can do almost 1,000 different points where you can preset your front end lift. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so your commute, your normal driving, plenty of spaces there that you can save all these different locations that you find along the way.
Will we also have cylinder deactivation with the Z06?
So no, that's a good question. The LT6 engine does not have cylinder deactivation like the LT2 does. So it's 8 cylinders all the time.
Also, a lot of people have been talking about the side air intake. Will we have the option on the Z06 to make that the same as the body color?
That's a good question. As of now, that's not in there, but I'm getting a lot of questions that people would like to have that option. So we're looking at adding that. The initial plan was not to, thinking that this was more, people would like the carbon flash, but I am hearing people would like the body color option. So we're going to look into adding that.
And you know me, I would like that trim in carbon fiber. So if you can look into that, when I order my Z06, I'd like to get that in carbon fiber.
Absolutely. I can see that.
Also, Harlan, when we came to the Peterson to see the car, I was really impressed with the wheels for the Z06. They look fantastic, and there's 5 different finishes on them.
Yeah, so the aluminum wheels, we call them spider wheels. You know, they have kind of that spider leg look to them.
Right.
They're beautiful wheels. One of the ones that's pretty neat, if you go on the visualizer, check out the Tech Bronze, which is kind of a new color for Corvette. And of course, we have black, we have the standard silver, we have a machined polished, which we have in the silver car, is really beautiful.
Right.
And then we're going to have a red stripe version.
That's good. You know, I'm a big aftermarket wheel fan, but looking at those wheels, I would keep those wheels on my Z06. All of them looked fantastic, and it's great that we have 5 different options of finishes on those as well.
Yes.
Also, I heard that the LT6 engine might become a crate engine. Is that true? That would be fantastic.
No, actually, there's no plans to make it a crate engine. To be honest, I don't know what it would fit in other than the Corvette. I mean, it's a wide engine. For example, it wouldn't fit in a previous Corvette at all. I'm not sure if there's a customer for it. You never say never, but as of right now, there's no plan to offer it. So we want all of them going into cars right now.
Right. And also, let's talk about some of the Easter eggs, because 2023 is going to be the 70th anniversary of the Corvette. And I know there's a few little Easter eggs that are really cool for people to look forward to seeing.
Yeah, so there's a couple things people may have noticed on the show car. If you look close, that there's etching on the rear window in honor of 70 years of Corvette. And that'll be on all the Corvettes for 23. There may be some other things coming that we haven't announced yet for 23 along those lines, but that's been shown. And then one thing that a lot of people have noticed if they've looked at the engine cutaway, actually on a lot of these engine parts, there's little rockets on them. I don't know how many there are total. There could be hundreds of rockets in there, but they put that in all the castings or the mold for the different parts. When the engine team was working on this program, they codenamed it Gemini, like the moonshot back in the 60s when we were working on rockets in the space race.
Yeah.
This was our engine moonshot. So a lot of the powertrain group, the engine group, got behind that and called the engine internally. It was just known as a Project Gemini. And so as a little Easter egg, there's these little rockets that you can see on little parts of the engines that you can find, which is kind of cool. And, you know, that's American technology. We all like the correlation between Corvette and astronauts. A lot of astronauts drive Corvettes. A lot of people connote the best in American technology in aerospace to be NASA and rockets, and in cars to be Corvette. So we like having that association.
And also the configurator is now up, so you can get online and build your own Z06 or Z07. Any tips or tricks when you get onto the configurator?
Yeah, so a couple things to know about the configurator, and I read some of the comments here and there. So normally if it's working, it's all 3D, you're in pretty good shape. There are times when, of course, especially when we first launched it right after the announcement, that they get so much traffic, they can't handle it. So what it'll do is it goes into a reduced mode. It's a 2D mode. So basically it shows the car two-dimensionally, and it does not have all the features you can pick. It has some of the main ones like the colors. I think it had some of the aero packages, but it doesn't have every single thing. But some people get confused, that how come this isn't on here today and yesterday. So sometimes if it gets in that mode, you might want to try to reload it, make sure you get the full experience. So we call it the full 3D experience, which is better. Shouldn't be happening as much recently as it did before, except maybe if everybody's listening to this right now and goes on instantly. They have made it a little bit easier to use the menu, so you can go in and jump around to the different parts of the car and select what you want to change quickly. There are certain interiors, like if you get the dipped interior, normally you would get that colored seatbelt. What we did to make it simple, we just have them all black, and then you can option up whatever you want. So that this way, when you change interiors back and forth, it's not giving you something you didn't pick.
Gotcha.
Other than that, do a lot of trial and error, have fun with it, try different things. We tried to make it easier to use. There's a box you can check for the studio lights, kind of makes it a little bit brighter. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's nice.
And then don't forget to try the roof. The roof is fun too, especially on the convertible. You can watch the roof go up and down, and it's all coordinated. You can see how your interior and your exterior go together.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, we've come a long way with these.
Yeah, absolutely. Those configurators are a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to building it out, getting the pricing taken care of, and then ordering my Z06 for sure.
Right. The pricing will be announced soon. We don't have it all finalized yet, but we're telling people basically, if you're used to the previous generation Stingray to Z06 base to base, roughly, it shouldn't be something that you wouldn't expect. I'll just put it that way.
Gotcha. Well, Harlan, thank you so much for coming on Corvette Today and talking about the Z06. I really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to seeing the launch coming up next year.
Yes, me too. And thanks again for having me on your show, and thanks for doing these great podcasts.
Thanks for listening to Corvette Today, and please be sure to tell your family, friends, and other Corvette enthusiasts about the Corvette Today podcast. And also thanks to our flagship sponsors, American Hydrocarbon at AmericanHydrocarbon.com, True Wealth and Company at RetireWithTrue.com. Also, AEROLARRI Wheels, get $100 off your purchase with the promo code CT100 at AEROLARRI.com. Also, NOVISTRETCH bras. Use the code Corvette Today 15 and get 15% off your total purchase at NOVISTRETCH.com.
You've been listening to Corvette Today with Steve Garrett. If you'd like to contact Steve with any thoughts on the podcast or ideas for guests on Corvette Today, you can email him at stevegarrettdj@gmail.com. That's stevegarrettdj@gmail.com. Garrett has 2 R's and 2 T's. Or connect with Steve on social media on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram using @SteveGarrettDJ. Thanks again for listening to Corvette Today.